Hi, I'm Teresa Duncan.
And I'm Kevin Henry.
Welcome to Chew on This.
We are excited to bring you our views of current topics in the dental industry and put a little different spin on them, giving you something to chew on.
If you need to jump off, be sure to check the show notes for links as well as how to get in touch with us.
And now, let's give you something to chew on.
And we are back with another episode of Chew on This. K-Dog, what's up?
Teresa Duncan, I'm ready to talk about some good stuff today.
Well, speaking of talking, I have a surprise for you. You don't know this is coming. I was playing around with our podcast software that we share, which is Riverside.
Yes.
Okay. We love the Riverside. And you actually record more on Riverside than I do because you do so much more of the Dental Assistant Nation, right? So I went to upload because I realize now that they have a feature called AI voice. And so it would generate a voice. And so it just said, upload some text to hear this. And I said, oh, you know what? Let me do a snippet of my book because maybe I can get it to do an audiobook version of my book, Moving Your Patients to Yes.
Love it.
Okay, so then imagine my surprise. And so, dear listeners, you will hear this. And then on YouTube, you'll just see like a little bit of a blank screen. But I must share what came out of this. And I feel like I now need to pay you some money because this is what it came back with.
The challenge for dental insurance coordinators is that so much information must be given to a patient within a small amount of time. By the time we are in front of the patient, they are already tired from their appointment and they want nothing more than to get out of the office. They have had an emotional conversation with the doctor and found out they need a lot of treatment. By the time the insurance coordinator is able to review with them their benefits and finances, the patient's minds are often racing and they feel overwhelmed. It's a very unique skill set to be able to effectively speak both clinically and financially with a patient. Typically, those are two different skill sets in the office, and it is hard to find someone who is comfortable with money matters and who can also talk bone height.
Basically, it sounds like you reading part of my book. And I'm like, this is not cool. First of all, when I hit play, I was expecting my voice. Because it's my book, Kevin.
I'm just saying, right?
Imagine my surprise when this masculine voice comes out and it's you. And I'm like,
hilarious.
What's going on here? I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone.
Maybe you can read my book then. How about that? We'll just swap. There you go.
Your book is much longer. So here's the thing. So then I started looking, okay, maybe I need to just identify the other speaker. Well, guess what, Kevin? You're the main speaker on our podcast. I can't find, there is no feminine voice option. Me. So
that's
you
very
are
strange.
it. You are the AI voice of both Nobody Told Me That, Chew on This, and Dental Assistant Nation.
I have come over and just invaded your space, basically. It's like Alien Romulus. I've just sucked onto your face, and there it is. So there you go.
I'm just going to hang it up now, Kevin, because obviously I'm not needed anymore.
So. Well, apparently, we'll just type something out and have me read it from now on in AI. We'll be done. So there, perfect.
But now for your articles in Dr. Bicuspid, imagine you run this through and now it can read, welcome readers.
Hello, everyone. Let's talk about something salacious, So
I just wanted to let you know that it is possible for me to clone you, which is actually really scary. So if you start to get if you start to get some credit card applications and bank applications, don't worry about it.
It's perfectly fine. What could go wrong? Yeah. Seriously, I've heard about that. I've seen some news programs that, it's getting so good and, the scammers are starting to call now and it's me going, Teresa, help. I'm in Mexico. And I've
right.
We should talk with my parents already. Yeah. That, if they say I'm in a jail in Mexico, you will have known that I've gone to Mexico ahead of time. It's not like I'm just popping down there for some fun or something. So,
well, you will be heading down to South Africa. So should we also ignore the South African calls?
I'll give you a safe word. How about that? I'll give you the safe word and you'll know it's me. So here's one thing. And in all seriousness, my mom and dad and I have talked about this because
don't say your safe word on the podcast.
No, I'm not going to tell. But My son-in-law, okay, and I'm not going to tell the whole story, but my son-in-law's grandparents actually were scammed out of money using this technique.
Oh
Not kidding.
no,
It's true.
really?
It really did happen. So our family has come up with something that it's nowhere online, but there's a childhood story that nobody would know outside of us, and
Okay.
it's a question. And they were to ask me this question, and if I don't answer it, they know it's not real.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that's a very smart strategy.
Yeah, I'll tell you the childhood story offline. But yeah, that's what I decided we better come up with this because when it hit a distant part of my family, but still people I know, I was like, okay, we got to get real about this. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't know if we have discussed this in a very long time. I know we went over it when Noah was like a small child. Like, if somebody comes to pick you up,
Yeah.
they got to give this word. But gosh, that word is so long ago. I don't even remember now.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, please go pick him up. All right. So, K Dog, kind of anticlimactic, but the big lesson here is that we are clonable, disposable. Actually, perhaps this podcast can continue long after you and I are,
Which
sitting
is,
with Norman and Dana in a retirement home going,
you know.
remember that time? All right. What you got, K Dog? What you got?
So, Teresa, I've got a question for you because we love to travel. So, I went across the border the other way to Canada this time, and I found an article, and it includes some advice from our mutual friend, Dr. Uchi Odiatu.
Ah, Uche.
Dr. Uche. And Dr. Uche was one of the two people that was asked by CTV up in Canada about what you should never do as a dental patient. Okay. Now, there's a lot of things that this could go to, but they tried to hone it down to these are the things that dentists, let me make sure I get this right. These are the things that dentists say you should never do.
Okay.
Now, they're talking
All right.
about not sitting in the chair and, taking off all your clothes before somebody walks in. Not that.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad that's not on the list. No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding. So,
this is in terms of your dental health, things that you should never do.
okay. All right. And
So,
Uche is
uh-huh.
known, it's Uchi, we just like saying Uche. He's a health and wellness expert,
Yes.
very dynamic, very charismatic,
Oh,
but
yeah.
also one of those people that you don't ever want to order like, the fried food basket
Oh my
in
God.
front of.
I worry about how I dress around Janice Hurley. I worry about what I eat around Uchi. I'm telling you, there's just people that you just kind of sit up a little straighter when they're in the room. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
you suck it in a little bit and. So anyway, so what did he have to say?
Well, okay, so I'm going to see if you can guess. Okay,
Okay.
there's 7 things in this article that these dentists say you should never do as a dental patient in terms of your oral health. Can you guess what one of them might be?
I'm gonna say Monster Energy drinks for sure.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I'm hoping it's on there.
I'm going to give you that answer. That was actually one of the interesting things that they said. And I'll have to admit, I never heard this. So I want to see if you've heard this because it ties in with what you just said. You should never brush your teeth immediately after eating something acidic.
Yes, I knew that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
See, I'm an
Yes. Do
idiot
you
then.
know why? Do you know why?
Well, they
Because
go to say in here, but go
okay,
ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically, like you need to bring that little biofilm, touch of biofilm back up. The saliva replenishes the moisture on your teeth.
Yeah.
And so any acidity, if there's no moisture in your teeth, it's like a pathway to going right in there and the acid breaks it down even further. So you want to
Oh,
chew a little bit of gum. So if you're not able to brush your teeth after a meal, the best thing to do is chew gum because then that distributes the saliva, which has the,
so
properties
good.
and all that
See, you're
stuff.
so good.
So
I love that.
well, I listen to a lot of lectures. That's the problem. So I'm very fun at parties, as you can tell. So I'm going to guess smoking and
Yep.
sodas and
Yep.
coffee.
Yep. So that'll fall under your don't take your teeth for granted. Let's see.
Don't use it to open things.
Smart. You nailed it. Never use
Okay.
your teeth as a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I yell at Norman about that all the time. I don't get
So,
it.
and something you and I have talked about on numerous previous podcasts, make sure you check those out. Never fall for DIY dentistry trends
You mean like do it yourself veneers
or hair
and
floss. Still my
hair
favorite.
floss, glitter dentures. I mean,
You know,
the list goes
the
on and
list
on.
goes on. Never play sports without a mouth guard.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Yep, that's fair.
Boring, but fair.
How about this one? Never wear a drugstore appliance without your dentist's approval.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
I
going. See, there were some of these that
Okay,
were like,
so
oh, okay, let's talk.
all right, so here's the thing, like, and Dennis, don't get mad at me, but there are night guards or mouth guards out there, the custom mouth guards that you bite, the boil and bite
Yep,
mouth guards that
yep.
you get hot and then you bite into it. And for a lot of kids that can't afford to go get a custom mouth guard, a mouth guard is better than no mouth guard.
Yep.
And I was in high school, I was a football trainer, which meant I worked with the football team and helped them with injuries and getting ready for games and all that kind of stuff. Sports medicine, basically, the
Yep.
entry way into sports medicine. And all of them had to have a mouth guard. And I don't know of any that went and got a custom mouth guard. It was all the boil and
Oh,
bites.
yeah, that's all we had
And
growing up.
then, right. I mean, you played, so
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think any mouth guard is better than none. So I think as a whole, you probably shouldn't get your dental prosthetics from CVS. I get that, but some
Well,
is better than none.
let's say that, because I get what they're saying in here as well. Absolutely. With the sports mouth guards, but they're also saying like the night guards and snore appliances and all that stuff. And I
Yeah.
get that too, but I'm also like, isn't something better than nothing? Maybe it's not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's almost like saying don't get a toothbrush unless it's been sold to you by the dental office. Like any toothbrush is going to be better than zero toothbrush,
So,
right? But I do think over bleaching was that mentioned because bleaching, like
well,
serious people bleach the heck out of their teeth,
they
man.
do. And actually, it was not, which I thought was
Oh,
interesting. It talked
okay.
about, and it was a very short, this was the shortest one of the bunch, but it just said, we actually had a patient that was wearing a particular device and it caused their teeth to shift and they shifted permanently. So, a little bit of a warning there. But
Wow, shifted permanently. They can't reshift it? That's weird.
I thought so too. So, they had to go through orthodont, but then they're saying, well, you got to pay for orthodontics and you wouldn't have had to do that if you hadn't done this. And,
Okay. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I get that. I could see that. The bleaching thing, maybe it's because what's sold over the counter isn't really, supposedly, it's not strong enough to really do damage. But if you've got sensitivity anywhere in your mouth, that is going to do some damage.
oh, for
So,
sure. Yeah.
yeah, but basically, your young teenagers, 20-year-olds, they could probably bleach all the time and it wouldn't hurt them. So I don't know though. I mean,
Yeah.
we got to get into a point where we're 20, 30 years down the road. Does it weaken the teeth? Like right now, they're probably strong and fine. But like Julia, for example, the lovely Julia, your daughter,
And
like what happens when she gets to be 50 if she's bleaching like every week, like some of these people do?
yeah.
What does that look like?
And it's funny because I thought as I read this article, I'm like, these are the things that dental practices need to be talking to their patients about, just reminders thing. And there was one that was really interesting. And I just got back from a trip to Phoenix. And so a friend of mine who was down there was saying, have you ever driven across the border to check out their dentistry? It was funny. He
Oh,
just asked me that out of the blue. And I said, no, I never have. But, I've heard a lot about it. And it's one thing that they were warning about. There was a do not in here. Never have procedures done abroad without thorough research.
well, I think that's
So
very
they had the
good
caveat
advice.
there. Yeah.
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 I
Which I
think that's
thought,
very good advice. And I mean, we've done multiple episodes in our earlier days of dentistry abroad. Actually, recently, the turkey teeth thing, where
turkey teeth.
many people in Europe will go to Turkey to get their teeth done. And they actually call it turkey teeth because sometimes the teeth are in such bad shape when they come back, they're not able to complete it. And people are crying, influencers are getting upset because their smile is now gone. You do have to do that. But there are lots of places overseas, Mexico,
Mhm.
Canada, even. Dentistry is amazing. But, and is it going to be cheaper? Maybe. With airfare, maybe. But, as long as you vet them, I mean, you have the choice to do whatever you want. And I think that was the problem with this whole dental tourism, is what it was
Yep.
called, or
Yep.
is called. When that really started gaining traction in the blogs and on periodicals, like it was like they were all bad. But some of the work is gorgeous. Like,
Absolutely.
it's not like all Turkish dentists are terrible. It's just.
And I thought it was interesting because they didn't talk so much about the how it looked, the aesthetics of it, but their worries were, and this is from Dr. Coleman, who is the other dentist who was quoted in this. You want to understand how things are sterilized, he said. So starting to plant that seed about the safety side of it too, and I was just like, okay, see where you're going there with this.
It's a tiny little detail, right?
Just a little something, you know.
From what I understand, in Mexico, they will throw all the pain pills at you want. So, maybe you just kind of ride out the bad sterilization effects. No, I'm kidding. That's terrible. Don't listen to my
Well,
advice. Obviously, not a dentist.
but but I thought it was interesting that, because I thought about our turkey teeth episode, which, by the way, please go back and listen to that one.
We'll link it.
Absolutely. But I did think, as much as we talked about the aesthetic side, we never talked about the behind the scenes, the sterilization center and all that stuff, and if it's
Yeah.
just, mama back there scrubbing them down before she hands them back to you, so I don't know.
I don't know. I think a lot of people would be shocked at how many mamas are back there scrubbing stuff
Oh, yeah.
down. I mean, even in the US, like, India Chance came on and was talking about infection control. She's an inspector and all that. And she said to me several times, it's amazing what's out
Oh, yeah.
there, which makes me feel like, uh-oh. Like, so I know the dentist I go to. I used to work there, obviously. Like, what happens when he retires? Is it okay if I say, can I see your sterilization
Yeah.
area? I'm going
Hey,
to turn into that dentist
you
or
know
that
what?
patient now.
That's all right. I've always been a believer that that's part of your pre-visit tour, is the sterilization area and showing them how it's what you do.
I'm going to have to say, hey, all the assistants, clinical people, line up. I need to see your hands.
Let me
Like,
see.
palms up, palms down.
You
If
know,
any of them, yeah, if any of them have like fake nails, I'm going to be like, so sorry.
yeah. What's your name? No, you don't touch my instruments. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to be insufferable. It's going to be terrible. So, all right. Well, thank you, Dr. Uche, for
Yes,
his wise advice. And obviously, we'll have to take that under consideration. But your point is good, Kevin. It should be discussed with patients now about what they can do to avoid getting the expensive bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I watched something on the platform formerly known as Twitter the other day, and it was a lady, and they were going, "Isn't this sexy?" And it was her popping the beer bottles with her teeth, and I was just like, "It's not." I got to
It's
be honest with
not.
you, that's not to me. That really isn't, because she's
Not.
going to fracture something pretty quick.
I'm just going to say, Kevin, you are not her target market.
I'm
That's all I'm
really
going to
not.
say. So, listen, she might know her market. So you just happen to stumble upon it.
Me ain't it. Let's just put it that. You're exactly right.
You can take the Arkansas out of the boy, I guess. I don't know. Or the Oklahoma out of the boy.
They
So
run together. It's fine. That whole area. Hey.
Oklahoma, Oklasaw. I don't know how
Oh,
to
oh,
say
well,
that. So
Oklasaw. I don't know that I've ever
Oklasaw.
heard that one, but I kind of like it, actually. You
All
know,
right. So yeah, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, you know what else I love? I don't know if you knew this. I love talking about trends with you. I
Yes,
love
and
to
we're
talk about
going
trends
to.
with
We're
you. There.
going
How
to
about
in
that?
December. In December. It's exciting. Thank you very much. We will link in the show notes the webinar we're going to give. So it's going to be actually factual information, but we're going to make some fun with it too. So don't worry, it's not going to be totally crazy. And since I'm now allowed to give CE, I got PACE approval, I will be providing one hot CE credit
Oof.
for this
At the end of
because
the
you have
year,
to be
a
live.
CE credit, it's what
Oh my
everybody
God.
wants for the holidays right there. I'm
This
telling
is my Christmas gift to
you.
you.
Man, that's
So,
beautiful. I love that.
well, and let's go back a second because we were talking about things to discuss with your patient,
Yeah,
but there are some things that we should not be discussing with other offices. So, I would like to share with you a story,
please.
and we are going to go over to Pennsylvania, and it's Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, which actually is a very pretty
Yeah.
area. There's a legal battle going on. And so, just the big gist of it, and we'll link it, of course, so you can see it. So, one dental office started getting some bad reviews and what they alleged to be defamatory statements on Facebook. And it turns out, as they tracked this back, that the post led to comments from other citizens that were questioning the Somerset Dental's practices. Okay. And it ends up that the regional manager of Elite Dental of Johnstown
Ooh.
was encouraging individuals. So follow me here. Somerset Dental Facebook page had complaints, and the manager of another Elite Dental came on and was encouraging Somerset Dental patients to file complaints with their insurance companies and the State Board of Dentistry. She also allegedly, well, actually, it sounds like she did because they have it, also posted comments suggesting that Somerset Dental was performing unnecessary procedures for profit. Do you get what's happening here?
Wow, there's a lot of bad mouthing going on right here.
Yeah,
A lot going
another
on.
office coming on to their rival's page and encouraging legal actions and all of that. And of course, Somerset Dental is like, what the heck? These are false. That they're saying that all these allegations are false. And so they tracked it back, and now they are suing the other office, and or actually they're suing the employee. Now this is a big problem. So plaintiffs have accused rival dental employees of defamation, and so I think they're also targeting the owner of Elite Dental of Johnstown, and they claim that the defendants' actions have led many patients to seek services elsewhere and have been directed to Elite Dental of Johnstown, which Aguayo is her name. Let me just see here. Filed a complaint against Jonna Craig and Rina Aguayo. Those are the Elite Dental employees.
Oh,
So basically, here's the other kicker. Somerset Dental was up for sale, and they were going
oh,
through a negotiations for a sale, and these defamatory statements disrupted that and possibly caused significant financial losses because that plus the reputation going
wow.
badly. So the plaintiffs are seeking compensatory and punitive damages exceeding $50,000 for each count of defamation and tortious interference with existing and prospective contractual relations. And so that contractual existing and contractual relations, Kevin, I'm thinking it's applying to the sale. So that's a contractual relation, but
Oh, yeah.
also the patient dentist relationship. So I don't know how to quantify that. I mean, that's $50,000 a count. So I don't know how many instances they're going to bring up in here. I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper, but I was stunned. Well, first of all, if you're going to go on and do this, why would you use an obviously trackable ID if you're going to be shady,
Yeah.
but that's just terrible. That's terrible business practice if true.
And I'm just wondering, was there ever a thought of the repercussions there could be when you're making all these statements and when you're, oh my gosh, I mean, it's just, I know people think you can say anything you want online, but with choices come consequences, guys. Come on. This is
It's
killing me.
awful. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine. And like what? And so if these two ladies were in fact working together to defame this practice, like, I mean, we've all been in an office where we kind of feed off each other, like we whip each other into a frenzy
Oh, yeah.
over certain things, right? Like, gosh, imagine the conversation there. And then I don't know, it doesn't mention anything about the owners of Elite Dental, but my goodness.
Yeah.
So there's the regional manager was actually, I'm sorry, Jonna Craig was the regional manager, and then Rina Aguayo was an employee. So two employees, and now the owner of that practice, like, is this covered under their business insurance? It wouldn't be malpractice, obviously, but is this covered under their business insurance? Are they suing the practice?
Right.
It, and does the practice go, whoa, they were not acting on our accord? And then they're like, hey, but they did it on company time. Like, what a mess.
I was kind of wondering, is this versus an individual or versus the entity? Yeah, I was wondering that. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
complete mess. You're exactly right. Jeez.
But I am sure Dr. Bicuspid, as always, will be tracking down the story.
It's very
So
possible. Luckily, I have one of our amazing editors in Philadelphia, and so she salivated when she said, "Oh, this is Pennsylvania." Oh, and so Melissa, I'm sure will have something on this very soon. I have no doubt.
perhaps she could do a site visit and
Ooh,
see
very
if she can
possible.
track people down. You know, like how they chase people down with the microphone. Like, doesn't even have to be hooked in. Like, she can record off her phone,
No,
but just have a microphone. Like,
just chasing down the alley, all that stuff. It'll be fantastic. It's good fodder.
yes, exactly. So I think that's fairly salacious. That's enough salaciousness for me.
And
Kevin.
if it's salacious, I love it.
You
I
know,
do. So thank you.
exactly.
Thank
So,
you for that.
all right. So, we got a bunch of links for you to explore in the show notes because you know what? We always bring the knowledge. Whether or
Oh,
not you want to read it, we bring it. So, and I will upload the AI Kevin so
wow.
that you can hear how much he knows about revenue cycle management.
That goes back to one of my favorite episodes when you taught me, what was it? It was dental insurance, right?
Yeah. It was. Oh gosh. Yeah. I taught you all about. What did I teach you
I
about?
don't
Isn't that
remember
terrible?
now. Isn't that horrible?
We did a whole episode on it, and it was like one of our most popular
It was.
episodes.
Yeah. I was just the
What the
hungry
heck?
pupil and you were the teacher. It was fantastic.
It was on nobody told me that. All right, so we are going to call that mystery episode that Teresa had no idea what it was, and we'll link that to what the heck was it that I taught you? Holy
I
cow.
just remember I did a lot of, uh-huh. Oh, really?
Oh, teledentistry.
Teledentistry. That's what it was. Yes.
Yes, I did a whole hour of teledentistry
It was
for
pretty good.
Kevin.
I'm telling you.
All right, dear listeners, we appreciate that you spend your time with us. We'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Chew on This. We hope you laughed and learned a little.
Check out the show notes for any links we mentioned, and don't forget to give us a rating on your podcast app. Feel free to drop us a comment on social media or by email if you have any suggestions for future topics.
We'll be back in about 2 weeks. See you then.